I get freaked out and scared about like making that leap to become a founder. And I think like making that decision and making that jump takes a lot of courage. So would love to hear like how did you decide that you needed to make the leap from being an engineering leader to then starting your own company? What was that pivotal moment like for you?
I would say as an engineering leader, I've been very fortunate to have been at my my previous company, LiveRamp, where I've been able to experience like what it is to be looking for ideas, like having a product that works, sometimes not, and just seeing like, oh, this is the product that is starting to work. Let's dig into it, and then seeing like this hyper growth of like product market fit, going to an acquisition, going through an IPO. So having seen this skeleton of a successful startup has been extremely helpful for me. And there are a lot of lessons that you don't really realize you're getting, but now it becomes part of your DNA. And it's basically always the same thing. Is if you want to start a company, you have to do it 100%. You cannot do it halfway. So I got fortunate to have done well with that with LiveRamp. So that gave me more freedom and maybe more of a safety net. But in the end, yes, if you want to do it, you have to commit to it 100%. I mean, I've tried a few side projects over the years, and it's impossible to fully. I mean, all your energy needs to be put into this company. You cannot just do it halfway.
And when was
Um,
that moment for you where you were like, I'm committing 100%, not halfway?
it was, uh, I think it was in June 2019. So after LiveRamp, I went to join another startup at the time. One of my very good friend was over there and part of same thing, like part of the founding team. So a lot of fun and got a lot more involved in like fundraising, um, um, like partnership, etc., as well as the technical aspect of it. But on June 1st, I was okay. I'm not. Something is missing, and I've always said to myself, like after LiveRamp, I'm going to start. I took this other position at RideOS, and yeah, June 1st, I was okay. I need to jump. I need to do it. Uh, it's just it was more like an internal will to do it. Also, like I came in the US from France in 2011. One of my thing was always I'm going to start a company in the US. I'm going to help like people solve a very important problem for themselves, and now I have the ability to do it. So let's do it and let's jump. It's a very conscious decision because once you start, it's very hard to get to go back.
It's like Pandora's box. Once it's open, you can't put it back.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you tell us about the transition from going from an employee or an engineering leader to becoming a CEO and founder? Like, what's the same from that experience? What's different? Like, is there a different mindset that you had to adopt or new principles that you had to apply to guide your thinking? Like, what was that shift like from, I guess, a mental and operational perspective?
Yeah, that's a good question. The good thing is it's not just a step function. It's the good thing is it's something that progress bit by bit. So you adapt to it because when you start, you obviously have to. Yes, you need to start a company, but you also need to make sure you execute on a project. You build a project. You build a team. I would say as the company grows, how much you rely on people grows like exponentially. I mean, you realize that as a CEO, you can never be a bottleneck for anyone. And you need to make sure that the people you hire is just more like the importance of the decision you're making. So when you start hiring people, you know that these are people that you're going to rely like 100% on them to take on some functions or some part of the company. I would say that to me, it's the one of the biggest change where I need to remove myself and enable other people to be fully autonomous yes, we always communicate, obviously, but having that, like shifting that mindset is a is necessary if you want to be a CEO. I would say communicate a lot about the state, the state of the company and where we're going. So making sure that you always have a north star, because if you don't, people don't really know where they're going. So even if it's very high level north star, it is an important one. Typically, our north star for 2021 was Airbyte must work. That's all. And I think once you start having this North Star, like you can build an organization and automatically is going to converge toward that North Star. But if you don't have like this very simple overarching goal, that's always going to be hard to align people on where what they're doing. And because you want also them to be autonomous, because it's a startup, they need to know and they need to figure out their own goal within that overarching goal.
Airbyte must work. Summarized in 3 sentences, and everything revolves around making that happen in the early stages.
Exactly. And it's just that once you have that, people are starting to question why they're doing something and not something else. And that's what you want. You also want to make sure that you hire the people who can have that judgment. So hiring just become a lot more important, especially as a small startup. And yes, after that, like fundraising was a big shift. I've never done fundraising before. How do you sell a vision and not a product for seed and for, especially for the seed? Um, that's it's like something that is maybe a little less tangible, and basically what makes it work is like for an investor, like, is it a vision that they buy in? Is it a team that they believe can execute on? And like figuring out how you explain all of that, figuring out how you present that, and figuring out how you actually build a team that the investor would trust is so important.